Hi, welcome back to the channel. If you remember in my last video, if you were paying attention, I was meant to have my modelling appointment tomorrow on the 22nd of this month. Well, I had an email yesterday. Do you know what happened? I was told that the appointment has now been put back to the 16th of June. The 16th of June, which is 3 weeks away. So, yeah, a bit of a bummer. But I handled it pretty well, I think. I didn't completely lose my rag. But it's just a classic example of what happens in this industry. And I thought, well, it will give me a reason to do this video. Because originally I was meant to be doing a video after I'd gone for the appointment to talk about how it went. Well, that isn't going to happen this week now. So this gave me a reason to come on and talk about how these inconveniences, particularly when you're going into modelling, but again it can correlate to any career venture. But also, if you are new to the channel, this video, this whole channel is about people who are thinking about going into modelling, who are entering into modelling, who may be in the same situation I am. If you're new, go back and watch some of the older videos, and there's a bit more information on that. But I thought, well, I might as well do a video and talk about yet again how these hiccups, if you like, these bumps in the road appear, and I guess the thing of it is you, even though it knocks you, even though it can roll you, I knew things like this would happen when I went into it, so I'm not completely knocked for six, because it's part and parcel with it. So you have to kind of take it on board. But I'll also talk about in this video how, even though this is a headache, these things, when these arise, how there is a positive to it. I know that sounds a bit strange, but there is a positive to it. Every cloud, as I say, has a silver lining. I know that sounds like something off a self-help card, but it is true to some extent. Again, it doesn't make it any less annoying or aggravating when it happens, but when you actually think about it rationally, there is a benefit to it, or not so much a benefit as such, but there is something positive to take away from it, I guess. So that's what we're talking about in this video. So I had the email yesterday, and it has now been moved to the 16th. And so there I am, getting all sides up already for this meeting, which was going to be tomorrow, and now it's 3 weeks away. It is due to refurbishment issues, which, again, these things happen. That's perfectly understandable. But at the same time, you are still, like, a bit knocked. But again, this can appear in any situation with any career prospect. It doesn't just apply to modelling. Now, I don't know, but you may have been in that situation yourself. Have you? Have a little think to yourself. Has that happened to you? When you're ready to go, you're ready for the ball to start moving, and then it stalls. It's annoying, isn't it, when it happens? So, how would you deal with it if something like that occurred? How would you handle it? It'd be very easy, wouldn't it, just to completely go off the handle, throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. And you have your moments, believe me, I've had my moments with this. You do, at times you do think, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this upheaval? Because that's how it feels at times. And that might sound a bit melodramatic, but that's how it can feel at times. You do sometimes think, it's easy for self-doubt to start creeping in, if you know what I'm saying. It's easy in moments like that for the self-doubt and the negativity to kind of rear its ugly head, and you start thinking, this is all pies in the sky and it isn't going to happen. And in that moment, you do think like that. Again, in the heat of the moment, you think very differently to when you're more calm and you're a bit more, a bit more chilled, a bit more rational. You think, things like this happen. But it's all about how you handle it in the moment. And it's happened at a time, funny enough, when I've kind of been reflecting on a few things as well. We're getting deep. We're getting deep. I've been out of school now. I don't know, I might have mentioned on another video, but I'm 26. Okay? So I've been out of school now 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. And it's coming up to the month when I left school 10 years ago. So the 10-year anniversary, if you like. And I guess now this might just be a me thing, but you start, or I have been anyway, you start to kind of think, well, what have I done in that space of time, that window of time, from when I left school to now? How have I actually spent that time? Have I actually done anything? Have I achieved anything? Or things like that. And you think these things. I think maybe, I don't know, maybe this is just me. It'd be interesting, comments are open, it'd be easy, it'd be interesting to see if it isn't just me and somebody else has ever been in this situation. But I have, I'd say the last couple of weeks, I've kind of been thinking, well, what have I actually done in that time? Have I used it wisely? Have I actually done anything? Have I achieved anything? And overall, when I think about it, I think, yeah, I've done this and I've done that, and I've done, there's some things that I've forgotten about. The most notable of life would be YouTube and the modelling. Well, the modelling's on the horizon at the moment. It's like it's there, but we've got to get there. You know what I mean? It's like it's in reach, but it's like so close but so far kind of thing. And it's something that kind of, considering that it was kind of a spur of the moment choice to go into modelling. It wasn't something that I thought about doing for a long time. I didn't think about, I didn't think about it loads before I actually went for it. It was like 2 days and I thought, why not? Just go for it. Very similar to YouTube, really. And if that's one thing I've learned, and again, if somebody wants to take anything away from this video, I guess, I suppose the one thing I've learned is that the more you think about things, you can talk yourself, or mentally talk yourself out of doing it. Sometimes it is best just to jump in at the deep end and go for it, because then you don't talk yourself out of it. And again, I don't know, maybe this is just a me thing, but as I'm sure, if you have been out of school for that length of time, there must be the odd moment where you think to yourself, well, what has changed from then to now in that space of time? And it's something I've been thinking about, not constantly, but I've been thinking about it quite consistently. in the past couple of weeks. How, what have I actually done in that time? And I think overall, I've actually spent it quite well. Sorry, my hair's driving me mad today. So, would you think the same about yourself? Would you look at, if you're under 23, this video isn't really going to hold any significance to you. You might as well click off now. I'm talking to the 25, the 26, 27 year olds. The people who've been out of school, quite a while. And the unks, if you like. A bit of internet slang for you. So, do you think about that yourself? I have been. And again, it might just be a me thing. I know I'm a bit weird. But it might just be a me thing. And I suppose when you want to progress and you want to get on in life and you want to do things, and it's at moments like yesterday when it really is brought home to you that the element of control that you have is very, very limited. You don't have a lot of control, and that at times can feel frustrating. It can feel you can feel a bit out of your depth, I suppose. Not to be too doom and gloom and all, but you can feel like that at moments like what happened yesterday. You can start to feel like, you are a bit out of your depth, and that it's, the control you have, or the only real control you have, is how you handle situations like yesterday, how you let it affect you, and that's the only real control. That's the only amount of control you have. And I've said it before to people. This is to people who are interested in going into modelling, who would want to do modelling. You will come up against this at some point. I have no doubt of that. It'd be great if it was just like, happen like that and you was on every magazine cover by Christmas. It'd be brilliant. But in reality, that isn't the case. And I wasn't so naive when I began modelling to expect that. I knew that, it wasn't just going to all fall into place. There was going to be setbacks. There was, you was going to come up against rejection. You was going to come up against some form of criticism, or some inconvenience. I kind of anticipated all this going into it, so it's not like it's not so hard to take on the chin. But at the same time, when it happens, it's all about how you handle it in that moment, in that time. But it is something to think about. If you are thinking about doing this, you have to take into account that you will come up against this. Not to put anybody off, but it is something that is realistic. But you shouldn't let it put you off. Because with everything like this, it is an experience. It's still part of the experience. It might not be a positive part. It might be an annoying part. It might be a frustrating part of the experience. But at the same time, it is still part of the package. In that, what comes out of it, the positive, and this is what I was going to mention what I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the positive side of it, I suppose the positive thing to take away from something like that is it kind of makes you more resilient. It kind of stiffens your resolve, and it makes you more resilient, and it prepares you for when something like this could occur again. So, if it was handed to you on a plate, for example, if the first day, let's say you're going into modelling, and the first agency that you apply to accept you, that's great. But at the same time, because it's happened instantaneously, it's just gone off. When you come up against any form of criticism or adversity, if you're not used to that, or you're used to things just falling straight into place, and I will point out, this is hypothetical, you are, if you're going into this, you are very, very lucky, I should imagine, to just be accepted on your first crack at it. I'm not saying it's an impossibility, but I should imagine most people, if you're like the rest of us, are in the kind of boat I'm in, that it doesn't just fall into place straight away. Again, it's not an impossibility, but I should imagine the rule, on average, would probably be the way it's happened for me. And I'm going somewhere with this. By the way, if you've stuck this video to this point, well done. You're an anomaly. But when it's handed to you on a plate, when it just falls into place, the gratification isn't really the same. And what I mean by that is, I think if you have to work more for something, for example, if you have to kind of strive more for something, or you come up against more adversity in the first place, but it all leads somewhere, I think in the end, when there is a payoff, it feels all the more gratifying. Does that make sense to you? Have a little think. Just pause, take a hit, chill out. Just let that sink in. Do you think that if you have to kind of work harder for something, whatever it is, again, doesn't correlate to modelling, could be any career venture. Do you think the payoff is worth more when you've had to work a bit harder at it? When you've had to work that little bit harder, when it hasn't just kind of fell in your lap and been handed to you on a plate, you've had to kind of push for it and push through some frustration. Do you think the payoff's bigger? I do. I think when you've had to work a bit harder for something, when it hasn't just happened instantaneously, when you haven't just had instant gratification, and you've had to kind of work a bit harder for something, I think the payoff in the long run is all the better. That's what I think. You might think something completely different, and you're welcome to put in the comments. I started this channel, in essence, at its core, to kind of document the modelling experience. So I remember in the first couple of videos I was calling it the modelling journey. Do you remember that? If you watch some of the early videos, again, you might be brand new and you might not have a clue what I'm talking about. But I remember in the first couple of videos I was calling it the modelling journey. I remember it sounded really corny at the time and very, quite, a bit extreme, but nevertheless, that's what it is. And all this is part of it. It's not a great part of it, but it's all part of it nevertheless. And if you let things like this get to you, then there's no point doing it, is there? Not really. You have to kind of push through it. And as I say, it goes back to the being out of school for 10 years. And this is how it all kind of comes together. Because, I don't know, again, it might just be a me thing, but did you ever feel that, like, when you was a teenager, for example, that everything just seemed to fall into place? I know we all look back on things with rosy-coloured glasses, but did you ever feel that everything was kind of just ready for you when you were a teenager? Everything was just like there, and there wasn't a lot of thought or effort that really went into anything. Again, that might just be a me thing. I don't know. And then you get into your 20s, and you have to start making some decisions about what you want to do with your life. How you're going to spend your time, what you want to do with it. You know. And your 20s can be a bit of a weird time, I think, because you're not a kid anymore, but you still feel like a kid, but you're not a kid, but you still have all the energy you had when you was a teenager. It's a bit of a strange time, I think, your 20s. And you're in that kind of transition period where, like I say, you're not a kid, but you're still not, you're not, well, you are an adult, but you still feel like a kid at times. So it's a bit of a strange time, and I suppose in the last couple of years for me, it's been the time when I've kind of thought, well, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm doing, and I don't know, you try and kind of work out a plan, I suppose. You try and work towards something, whatever that might be. In my case, it's with modelling. In your case, it might be something completely different. And again, if you're under 23, this video isn't really going to hold any significance. But if you're 24, 26, 27, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. And it's strange because you think about things a bit differently. You start putting a bit more thought into things. And you start looking at the bigger picture, the long game. You know, you think, well, this should lead to this and lead to that. But I guess it all comes down to anything that's worth having. It takes a degree of effort, takes a degree of work. Anything that's worth accomplishing, there's a degree of work that goes with it. A degree of effort that you have to put in. That maybe anything that is worth having is worth working for. Maybe that's what I'm finding out now. Again, if you're new to the channel, this is what these videos are about. We just pick something and we kind of try and make sense of it. We kind of talk through it. And again, you're more than welcome to tell me in the comments if you completely disagree. It is a kind of discussion. But that's what we do here. That's what this content is about. If you're new here, we just pick a topic and we talk it through. Try to just make a bit more sense of things. And like I say, do you think anything worth having is worth working for? Because most things are, really. I think most things that are worth having are worth putting a degree of effort into. And I think instances like yesterday just kind of confirm that it isn't all just a walk in the park. It isn't all just going to fall into place. There's going to be pitfalls. But I think once you realise that and kind of learn something from it, I think it's easier to push through with. Don't get me wrong, it's still annoying in the moment. It still pees you off in that moment. But when you think about it a bit more calmly, a bit more rationally, you think, oh, okay, there's a different angle here. What would you say? Would you push through? Or would you think, oh, forget this now? I've had enough of this. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no judgment. I could fully understand why some people do throw in the towel when things don't go, don't fall into place straight away. I can fully understand why some people think, oh, do you know what, I'm sick of this. But again, if you push through it and you keep on going, okay, it ain't always easy. And you have those horrible moments where a bit of self-doubt creeps in, a bit of negativity, but you push through it, and then, oh my god, it might pay off. How easy was that? Again, this is just my experience, this is just the way I'm seeing it. Someone else might have a whole alien point of view to what I'm saying, but it's something to think about, isn't it? Anyway, I think I'll leave it on that now. Like I say, have a little think. How do you handle things when they don't go completely your way? And again, there's no judgment. Everybody handles things differently. But maybe, just maybe, there's always something to learn from a situation like that. Like I say, if you're new here, after watching this video, go and check out some of the other videos. There might be something there for you. I appreciate these videos aren't for everybody. Not everybody's going to like them. But if one or two people get something from it, that's all you can hope for. I'd like to thank everybody who watched the previous videos. I'd like to thank anybody who has subscribed to the channel. And if you want, subscribe. If you want, leave a comment or like or dislike, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, hell of a talk. I will try and upload a video in the next coming weeks. There will be definitely a video after the 16th of June. I know that's 3 weeks away, but there'll definitely be a video after the modelling meeting. Hopefully in the meantime, I will, if I think something relevant, then we'll see what happens. But anyway, I'll catch you all later. Peace.